working with format as this pedagogical method where you design your training, we always start with the participants' why. We create a why frame. I have to say that it's an emotional experience related to the participants, something they know, and use as many senses as possible. We have the first 3 steps in the format model. First, we need to connect, and that's where we need the emotional experience. And then they need to attend. They talk about, okay, what did we just experience, discover, what was the experience? And then the participants will image, okay, what's in it for me? What will I gain from this training? And those 3 steps, connect, attend, image, will create the participants' why. And when we have been good as trainers, they're totally ready and motivated and think, wow, I need to learn something about this, because they can see what's in it for me. And I know this is quite difficult for some people. I know some people are also quite brilliant in this phase, and I know you are.
Thank you.
So I want you to tell some of the good examples you have, because I know you have done a lot. We can't hear them all, but some of the good ones, some of the very good ones.
Some of the very good ones. Well, I'm going to borrow that one from you then. Yeah. It is not always an easy one, and you also got to be careful of not trying to come up with a brilliant one every time.
Yes.
Because the brilliant ones, they only come once in a while.
Yes.
And having been for 17 years in the business, I maybe have about 10 brilliant ones, and the rest is good enough. So,
yes.
Because you shouldn't try to live up to always being the best. But one very good wireframe that I think I have is in a trainer course, which is actually about format, learning goals. So it's for experts, subject matter experts to become a trainer.
Yes.
There I start, and sometimes I don't know these people at all, where if the room is lit with candles, or now these days LED candles, because we shouldn't use real candles in the rooms for safety reasons. And I made
a very romantic environment.
A bit romantic with some nice music, and I can tell you when people come in, and especially if they're old men, they're getting a bit scared. And we start with, I give them, we start sitting in a circle. And again, this is a bit like, whoa, is this going to be a talking group or something like that? Sit in a circle and I give them a poem.
Yes.
Marianne Williamson. And it's about being bright, being the best version of yourself and not being afraid of that. I let them read that. So they start feeling something.
Yes.
It might be comfort, it might be discomfort, it might whatever. It starts probably with some discomfort, but that's feeling as well.
Yes.
As long as I feel something. They read it, then I let them discuss together, why am I using this one as a startup for this course? And they start talking about, well, they're a bit afraid sometimes, and they're standing a little bit. And then in Denmark, we've got the Jensen law, where people say you should be better than others, and there's always these kind of good discussions around that. And then I connect that to imagine now that you just do it.
Yes.
Be there.
Yes.
Because there's always somebody who will find it not good enough, and that's just the way it is.
Yes.
But you got to go home with a feeling that you've done whatever you could.
Yes. Very good.
So that is I would say one of my brilliant wireframes. It's not a creative one, but it's a really good one.
Yes. And it's also a little bit brave to do that because that's not a normal setting. Working with those people, not so common.
For the target group that I have.
No.
Other target groups you can do that. I mean,
that would be quite normal.
That would be quite normal.
Yes.
And exactly there, I probably would do something else to get them out of their comfort zone slightly, because I do like provocations, and they quite often work. I had one, and I can never. No, you know what? I tell you one that I haven't used in training, but before I started training, I didn't even know format, and I had a job interview.
Yes.
I came in and I had to do a presentation, a small training session for some people.
Yes. So it was you who was applying for the job.
I was applying for the job.
Yes.
And I just came to Denmark and I figured out it's now or never.
It's now or never.
And I did something that I never ever dreamt that I would have the guts to do. So I came in and I had the people sitting there, and I gave them a small sign with, on one part of the sign there was their name, because I don't remember names, so I could see their names, and on the other area there was written there what they were playing. So there were salespeople.
Yes.
That knew about this company, and there was a new introduction of it. I have to say that a new pump.
Yes.
That was solar energy driven, and I had them sitting there, and I put a slide up, and then I said to them, "Sorry, I have to go to my car to get something." So during my interview, I left. I came back with a vacuum cleaner, and I started vacuum cleaning.
Yes.
And I had them sitting there, like, "What is happening here?"
Yes. Whoa.
So for sure, I started creating some emotions here.
Yes.
I didn't know what they were, and I was almost filling up my trousers because I was so scared. And of course, provocative as I was, I went to the director and asked him to lift his feet a bit. And then I looked at the slide, and there was a slogan for them: "Be, think, innovate." And I started, think, okay, think, innovate. And I took the vacuum cleaner apart. I tossed away the bag, which was really stupid because it started dusting all over the place. And I took the pipe and I looked at it and I started playing didgeridoo.
Yes.
On the pipe. Didgeridoo is an Australian instrument. And my next slide was an Aboriginal sitting there playing didgeridoo and a painting with water holes, which led me to a story about the Aboriginals surviving in the deserts for thousands of years, but the white people, they just died because they couldn't find water. But that all changed with the introduction of the new pump that they had introduced.
Yes.
So
whoa,
there was this whole thing, and that was before I knew format.
Yes.
It just popped up in my mind. Yes. Don't ask me how I did it though, but it was a good wireframe. They will never forget it, and I got the job.
Yes.
So there was something good there.
Yes.
And
very, very brave to do that. And it is totally into the format model. And that is also one of the powerful things with format, because it is just common sense. It is brain-friendly learning. Exactly. It is a natural process. So if you're good at communication, good at training, good at teaching, you will do that very natural.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. And that works for me. More common can be always business cases. Talk about business cases. Yes. Talk about business problems.
Yes. Related to the company you work with.
Related to the company you work with. Related to the product you work with, etc.
Yes.
In the company I work for right now, we work with data, with master data management. And once I had the explanation about my own car, that I do maintenance on my own car, and this is where the engineer comes in. And I had to have new brakes, and I went on the internet to find out about this. So it was just a story. And be careful with stories, because I'm not telling you why, but the story led into that I asked them, so what's your experience with buying products online?
Yes.
Which actually led to the point that people could feel that they were actually the end customer of our customer.
Yes. Yes.
So that we're actually in the whole value chain.
Yes.
And all of a sudden that triggers something. So that's a good wireframe, because it means that I'm actually part of not just creating the platform that we're making, delivering it, but also using it as an end consumer.
Yes.
Even though I don't see it.
Yes. So there's a lot of different, very powerful things you can do in job interviews, in training, in communication, all over. Always remember the wireframe. Yeah. And I think what I always tell people, remember to use emotions. Remember to do something where people can feel something.
Yes.
That's so very, very brilliant. And we need to be brave, because then people will remember.
Yeah.
And of course, we also need to when we are brave and do some weird things, then we of course also need to be able to really be the expert in what we are training afterwards.
Exactly, because if you're brave here but you don't do this properly, you've lost them forever.
Yes.
You'll never come back.
Yes.
And that's very important. Also,
Yes.
it needs to be really connected.
Yes.
That's also why we have the connected tent. Imagine,
Yes.
because I've seen people coming in as a wireframe dressed up as whatever, and
Yes.
it was not connected to anything, and they were not
No.
living it.
No.
I mean,
Yes, you
if
need
you
to
do
live it.
something with
Yes.
fear, you need to be afraid when you do it.
Yes.
I mean, you got to go back to your children's time
Yes.
and tell stories. It's
Yes.
about the storytelling
Yes.
and feeling the story.
Yes.
The best storytellers feel the fear when they see the ghost,
Yes.
and that's what
Yeah.
you need to get in.
Yes.
And then, of course, you need to involve them. Always, you need to involve them. You
Yes.
need to reflect on what happened,
Yes. Yes.
because it's their wireframe,
Yes.
like you see. It's not you performing.
No. It's always their wireframe.
It's always their wireframe.
And that's actually also what some people sometimes forget. They say, okay, I travel the whole circle. I always tell them why. No. Don't ever tell them why.
Exactly.
Do something so that they can feel their why, and then they can tell their own why.
Yeah.
Yes. Thanks for those wonderful
Yeah.
examples.
If you tell them why, most people will give you the middle finger, as we call that,
Yes.
because they don't want to be told.
No. They have their own why. And sometimes you can also say, you think you know their why, but very often you actually don't do that. No. It's their why. Yes.
It's their why.
And there's so much power in our own why, because when it's the why I have, then I can just have the motivation and do whatever is necessary.
Exactly.
Yes. Very good.